Professional sports look like the ultimate free market success story. Billion-dollar TV deals, superstars signing luminous contracts, stadiums packed with fans. But underneath all that excitement is one of the clearest examples of a market failure you'll ever see. Today, we're breaking down how leagues like the NFL, NBA, and MLB quietly operate as monopsonies, markets where basically there's one buyer of elite athletic talent, and why that structure leads to outcomes that are anything but efficient. Let's start with the economic setting. In pro sports, the major stakeholders are the leagues. Places like the NFL, NBA, MLB, NHL, they set the rules for how players enter, move, and get paid. Team owners, they want to minimize labor costs and maximize franchise value. Players, especially rookies and role players who want fair pay and mobility. Fans, they want competitive teams, but they're indirectly affected by how the labor market works. Unions and agents, they negotiate on behalf of players, but they're constrained by league-wide rules. On paper, this looks like a competitive labor market. In reality, it's not even close. The market failure. A monopsony is the labor market version of a monopoly. Instead of one seller dominating a market, it's one buyer dominating the hiring process. And that's exactly what happens in pro sports. If you're a football player with NFL level talent, there's only one place to sell your labor, the NFL. If you're a basketball player at the NBA level, there's only one league that will pay NBA wages. There's no competing league with equal pay, equal exposure, or equal career opportunities. That gives leagues and owners outsized power over wages and mobility. Here's how monopsony power shows up in real life. The draft. Players can't choose their employer, they're assigned. Rookie wage scales. Even top rookies are locked into below market contracts. Restricted free agency. Teams can match any offer, limiting mobility. Franchise tags. Teams can block free agency for multiple years. Salary caps and max contracts, artificial limits on what players can earn. In a competitive market, wages equal a player's marginal revenue project, the value they bring in. But in a monopsony, the buyer sets wages below that value. That gap, that's deadweight loss, that's inefficiency, and that's the textbook definition of a market failure. If you want to see this dynamic in action, look at sports documentaries that highlight how athletes generate massive value while receiving a fraction of the revenue. A great example of this is the Netflix series Untold. Episodes like Breaking Point and the rise and fall of AND1 show how athletes, especially early in their career, produce enormous economic value but lack the bargaining power to capture it. Even in leagues with huge salaries, the structure still suppresses wages relative to what a competitive market would produce. You might think that competition would fix this, but here's the problem. There's no realistic alternative league with equal pay. Leagues coordinate rules collectively, acting like a cartel. Players entered the league at young ages with limited leverage. Fans reward the product regardless of labor market fairness. Because, of course, we all want to watch the sports, and we're just contributing to the problem. The result is a stable, persistent market failure. The market cannot reach an efficient outcome because the structure prevents true competition. So what would a policy solution look like? Here are a few options economists often discuss. Loosen or eliminate rookie wage scales. Let rookies negotiate freely like any other worker. Shorten contract control periods. Earlier unrestricted free agency increases mobility and competition. Independent arbitration for salary disputes. Reduces the league's ability to suppress wages. Allow competing leagues or cross-league bidding. Historically, when rival leagues exist, like the ABA or USFL, player salaries skyrocket. These interventions don't eliminate the league structure, but they reduce the inefficiencies caused by monopsony power. And for something that we can relate to, a good parallel would be fantasy football, especially Dynasty. You've actually felt monopsony power yourself. Let's say you have a surplus of wide receivers. Other managers need them, but you don't have to trade them unless the offer is good enough. You're the dominant buyer or seller in a small market. You can suppress the price of trades because the league structure creates artificial scarcity. Your fantasy league is a tiny, simplified version of the same market failure happening in real sports. Professional sports are thrilling, emotional, and larger than life. But behind the scenes, they're also a powerful lesson in economics. Monopsony power shows us that even in glamorous billion-dollar industries, markets don't always deliver efficient or fair outcomes. And understanding that helps us see sports not just as entertainment, but as a living case study in how real-world markets actually work. Thank you for watching. If you want a deeper dive into the economics of sports, check out Netflix's Untold series or episodes of NPR's Planet Money that explain how leagues shape incentives behind the scenes.